Hello, everyone, and welcome to Cyberside Chats. My name is Matt Duran. I'm the Director of Training and Research for LMG Security.
I'm Sherry Davidoff, the founder of LMG Security.
And today we're going to be talking about deepfakes and voice phishing attacks, kind of the next generation of cybercrime. So,
Okay, wait. I have a question for you.
Okay, yeah.
Really, I want your consent to record your voice on my phone right now and play whatever comes out.
Okay,
I'm
yes.
going to clone your voice.
Okay, you can clone my voice. Yeah, that's fine.
I have your consent.
You have my consent.
We have witnesses.
We have witnesses, yes.
Okay, great. I'm going to start now.
All
I'm
right.
using 11 Labs.
Perfect.
Okay, go.
Okay, so to start off, and you can use this for the voice clone, we wanted to talk about a story that hit the news recently about a deepfake video involving the CEO of YouTube. And the general kind of, I guess, angle behind the scam is that private video links are being sent out to YouTube creators, people who have like monetized accounts. And it is a video coming from supposedly the CEO of YouTube, telling them that the way they monetize videos is changing and they need to sign in and confirm things, otherwise their channels get suspended. Realistically, though, it's a phishing scam. They're just trying to get credentials for these high-profile accounts, and that is, unfortunately, it has been fairly successful up to this point. So YouTube is now warning people that if you get private video links, they're not to be trusted. You're not actually getting a video from the CEO, which, I mean, you should be able to figure out anyway. But yeah, it led to an interesting discussion about the rise of AI and phishing and how we're seeing these things happen.
This is the scam of the future, and I've recorded enough of your voice that now I will work on actually generating your voice clone here.
So you have digital Matt now?
I have digital Matt, and I'm using a tool called 11 Labs in order to clone your voice with your consent.
With my consent.
Criminals can use plenty of tools to do this without your consent as well.
Oh yeah, like the AI system that we use for making our own deepfake videos that we use for presentations, HeyGen. You have to go through like this full verification process where you read a code off and it has to actually see your face on the webcam and all of that stuff. But there are a couple others that we've used that do not require that. Like you can just take a still frame of someone off the internet and make it.
That is crazy. Yeah. You take like a photo and it makes like their face move a little bit, and it's actually not bad.
It's not bad. It's not perfect, but it's getting there.
What I'm doing right now is I've got 11 Labs open.
Okay.
I've named my voice sample Matt, testy test, so test Matt sample.
Perfect.
I've changed the value of language to English, and I hereby confirm that I have all necessary rights or consents to upload and close these voice samples, and I will not use the platform-generated content for any illegal, fraudulent, or harmful purposes. Okay.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's going. Well, let's move on and talk a little bit about how this YouTube scam really builds on two trends that we're seeing right now. One is deepfakes and voice clones. Yeah. Absolutely a trend. We're going to get back to that in a little bit. The other is that it was distributed via a trusted platform. Yeah. It's
not obviously coming from like a phishing website or something like that. I mean,
coming from YouTube.
Yeah, it's coming from YouTube.
Actually coming from YouTube. Yeah. The scammers are using YouTube against itself.
Right.
And that is a trend. We saw that with the Sophos attacks, or it's not the Sophos attacks, the Sophos report in January. So Sophos reported on some ransomware gangs that were bombarding victims with emails, like thousands of them, in about 45 minutes. And then they would call because they know these users are stressed out. They might be contacting the help desk. They call and they say, "Hi, we're from your IT help desk." Or actually, it's not just a call.
It's
That's
not a call,
they hit them up on Teams. That's what it was. And I thought that was really interesting because they're leveraging this trusted SaaS platform. So first they send them a message, then they get on an actual call. And so they're leveraging these systems that we trust. And then there was another recent Krebs expose on how voice phishing crews work. Do you remember that?
I do.
Just in January.
It was pretty recently.
Yeah, so I thought this was really interesting. So Krebs shared details about how a phishing gang will use Apple and Google systems against their victims, against the users that are relying on those services. So, for example, they had attackers at this voice phishing crew target a musician. And the goal of the attackers was presumably to get their unreleased music. That's ultimately what they got. And so they did that by, number one, they tried to log in repeatedly to the victim's Apple accounts. Because, of course, the musician's password had already been stolen from previous breaches. We see this all the time.
Pretty common,
Attackers aren't starting with nothing. They're starting with your password, but you have MFA set up, so you're protected, right?
Totally.
No, so they triggered like a flood of MFA pop-ups. And, that's like similar to an MFA fatigue attack
Hmm.
where they're just trying to get you to give up. But if you don't give up, in this case, they called the victim. And they called the victim from a spoofed Apple number. So it looked like it was from Apple, and the victim actually checked. They told the victim that they were from Apple support and that criminals were trying to get into his account. So that's substantiated by all the, messages that the
Sure,
victim
yeah,
had been
it's pretty
receiving.
obvious they're being a target for a phish at that point.
Yeah, but I know we watched the video together, and I think one of the things that interested me was they built trust
Yep.
during the call by triggering a real Apple notification.
Well, and they even walked the victim through like going in and resetting his own password and doing all that stuff. So they walked him through securing his device, but then tricked him after the fact into like confirming that the ticket had been closed, and that's where they phished his credentials. Yeah.
Yes, but I thought that using Apple systems, so if you call Apple they spoofed the victim's number, so it looked to Apple like they were calling from the victim's number, and then if you press 1 to answer something, it'll trigger an alert on all of your Apple devices.
Yeah.
And so the guy in the video is literally, we'll put the link in the show notes. The guy is literally like, "Oh, it really is you." And like, no, it's not.
It's not.
You
It's
just
a
totally
phish.
fell for this.
Yeah.
You totally fell for it. And then to close the ticket, they sent a link to what was really a phishing page and stole the messages.
Yeah, and what it almost looked like a regular Apple domain, except it was it had like a bunch of numbers in front of it or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, again, a pretty common tactic we see from phishers. Just they're utilizing this newer technology to really kind of increase the efficiency of their attacks, and it's kind of amazing to see it in real time like that.
Yeah, and we're seeing more and more of these. We saw another voice phishing attack that was reported in December, where a victim named Adam Griffin lost $500,000 in cryptocurrency.
Yeah, ouch.
Ouch, because he fell for a Google-related phishing attack, and the criminals sent him an email that not only looked like it was coming from Google, it really did come from Google.
Yeah.
They used Google Forms and they bounced a message back to him that actually came from Google. And he fell for it, and then they called him pretending to be Google Help Desk, and the rest is history.
They went through the entire like device notification and all of that. Yeah, it was smart fish.
Okay, so do you want to hear how this came out? I have not tested this.
Yeah,
I've not tested this at all, so this might
be
horrible. This might be horrible. Ready? Okay. We're generating speech from whatever Matt just...
Say what you want, but Wicked has some of the best music ever written. You haven't lived until you've belted out Defying Gravity at full volume. And yes, I hit the high notes.
I mean, I wish I could hit the high notes. Seriously, that came out
right there.
That came out really well.
30 seconds of audio. That's insane. I know. Are you scared?
A little.
Why are we even doing a podcast? We can
just use digital math for this. Yeah.
And sit back.
Perfect.
Okay. So yeah, what kinds of voice... First of all, let's talk about voice cloning attacks we've already seen. It feels like we haven't seen a ton. They don't always get reported. We talk to like our banking friends and other people, and they are happening. Do you want to share a couple?
Yeah, I mean, we've already seen a couple. There is the potential for like what we call like the ransom style attacks. We saw that a while ago. There was the elderly man who lost like what $17,000.
$17,000 because his son-in-law, he must have had like something on social media with his voice or whatever. So the attackers cloned his son-in-law's voice, put his son-in-law Michael on the phone, and said like, well, they pretended to be the police, and they put Michael on the phone saying, like, help, please give these people money to get me out of jail or something. And this poor elderly man lost ultimately $17,000 paying the criminals to get what he thought was his son-in-law out of jail.
Well, sure, and I mean that would be a pretty convincing kind of scam to pull, especially if you had that person's voice on the phone. Like he even said in the article, like he thought he was talking to his grandson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's a couple of business-related ones we've seen.
Yeah, Ferrari is a good example. Their CEO was deepfaked, and I mean for a company like Ferrari, where their staff and their executives are like public, there's YouTube videos of them, there's social media. It's not that difficult to get that kind of information about someone, to get their voice, to get their image, and the only reason that Ferrari didn't fall for that scam was the employee who was talking to who he thought was the CEO at that point in time thought something was a little bit off. And so he asked him what was the book that you recommended to me when I was in your office a couple days ago?
Thank goodness that it sounded a little robotic, because that's not going to happen for much longer.
No, it won't.
And then, there was that engineering firm that lost $25 million.
Yeah, Arup, I think is the name of them. Yeah, they and that was a situation where the CFO was deepfaked, and one of the finance employees over like a period of calls was tricked into transferring like $25 million via wire, and it's gone.
And that was video, just like what we saw with YouTube, just to bring us back full circle. But this is only the beginning, right? Like, What I'm worried about, honestly, are things like business email compromise, where instead of that just happening over email, where scammers are trying to trick finance folks into giving out money, they'll include a phone call. So it sounds like the CFO, or it sounds like a vendor that you know and you work with all the time. So that was my concern. But what are you concerned about?
I mean, the big thing right now is that I'm concerned about is when the technology gets to the point where we can do these kind of deepfakes in real time.
Yeah.
Because right now, I mean, there are some services that exist that will let you change your voice in real time, but it's like they're pretty easy to spot at this point. Like it doesn't sound natural; it sounds very robotic. There's auditory glitches and things like that that happen. But that's not going to be the case forever. In fact, it won't even be the case for long. We're getting pretty close to having this as available as just an app that you put on your phone that'll just change your voice to someone else's. It's going to happen.
Scary. Yeah. Like when AI gets combined with voice cloning, we are just toast.
Yeah, we're roasted at that point.
So, but okay, let's not depress everybody.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
You can protect yourself. You really can.
Yeah.
You can protect yourself and your organization, both on a personal and professional level. So why don't we talk about things that people can do?
Sure. I mean, the first thing you need to know is let people know this is a problem. Educate your staff. Let them know that voice cloning is a real thing and is a threat and will be used for criminal purposes as we move forward. And just make sure that they're aware of kind of like how to double verify, and that's the big thing. I mean, trust but verify is a phrase that we use in like forensics and incident response a lot, but it's really important for especially finance roles. Making sure that if somebody's asking for a wire transfer or a bank account change or something like that, that you have another way to back up and verify that that is actually the person you're talking to and that change is actually authorized.
Yeah, that's key. And I think instead of just doing like webinars and reminders and things like that, I think it's a great idea to do this as part of tabletops as well, or even like little micro simulations. In fact, that's what we're doing at RSA. We're doing a tabletop on deepfakes where we actually walk the attendees through what do you do when there's a deepfake attack on your organization and someone's posing as the CEO. So if you're at RSA or if you know someone's at RSA, sign up for our session.
Oh, it's going to be fun.
And definitely think about integrating that into your tabletop exercises. Like actually workshop it, maybe with your finance staff and your IT staff and your security staff, just so you can be prepared.
We've done a couple of those recently. And they're interesting tabletop exercises. Kind of puts you in a different headspace than something like ransomware or something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Strengthen your multi-factor authentication policies. Certain types of multi-factor authentication are phishing prone. Anything where you read out a code or something like that, one-time passcodes, or you type it in, those are phishing prone.
Yeah.
And so it's time to start moving away from that. I know, we all just got used to that. I am looking forward to our passwordless feature.
I am too. When we start using pass keys instead of passwords, that is going to make me so happy.
Biometrics, so take advantage of that where you see it.
Yeah. The other thing that people need to be aware of is what is out there publicly about them. And a lot of people, social media is horrible for this. Like people give away so much information on social media, whether it be their voice or their video or something else. And we just need to remember that, I mean, attackers will check things like Facebook or X or LinkedIn or something like that and see if they can find information about you. If you've got videos out there or if you've got audio samples, I mean, they can use that to clone you. And it's, as we just saw, it doesn't take much to do that.
It's hard to put that genie back in the bottle, too, once you've actually leaked stuff.
It is. And I think the last thing that we need to remember here is that just because something's coming from a trusted platform like, DocuSign or PayPal or Google or Apple or something like that, it doesn't necessarily mean that we can trust it. There are ways to abuse those systems to make it look like a phishing message is coming from a trusted platform. So.
Yeah, thanks so much. So everybody, those are our big takeaways today. Thanks for letting me clone your voice, Matt. Do you want to close us out by singing the high notes of Wicked?
I really do not.
Oh, come on. It'd be great. All right. We'll tune in next week for Cyberside Chats. Thanks so much, everybody. Like and subscribe. Talk to you soon.